r/AskReddit by Reddify. Men of Reddit. When have you experienced sexism? The one that pissed me off the most was when my daughter was 14. She was having problems with her mother, and it was decided that she would come live with me. I lived in another state. I got her moved in and went to enroll her in school. I had the unenrollment papers from her old school that were signed by her mother. I also had her birth certificate, social security card, and immunization records. The new school wouldn't allow me to enroll her until my ex-wife sent a notarized letter stating that I hadn't kidnapped my daughter and that she was allowed to live with me. I was ducking pissed at the double standard. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard called bullshit, saying they never required her to do that. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard called bullshit, saying they never required her to do that. Good on her for doing that. That woman is a modern day saint. Worked in a female dominated industry as an intern and was told on a regular basis that it was a female dominated field and that she aimed to keep it that way, on top of constantly being told to stop by ducking the women when I was not. Please hire an employment attorney. That is XL discrimination at the workplace and should be punished. Unfortunately, as an intern, I doubt he had the resources to hire an attorney. I'm not a man, I'm however a parent to 3 teenage males. It started in high school grade 11 English. My son wrote several excellent essays for his teacher, who read them and gave him horrid marks because he didn't consider the feminist side. I read the outline and nowhere is he tasked with seeing it from the feminist side. I personally was deeply offended, and now my kid sees feminism as a bad thing. That's why I always hated English class. Comes down to one person's subjective opinion. Yup. I failed English 101 in college for making the giant mistake of not agreeing with the teacher when she went off about George Bush. I thought college was a place where you could discuss differing opinions in a respectful atmosphere. Nope. I learned that lesson freshman year. Just because I like/am good with kids doesn't mean I'm a pedophile who wants to ape them. Or another one. I was once at a place where it was strictly enforced that in the cafeteria the girls had to in front of the boys in line. Not at all that I'm anti-chivalry, but you could be waiting for 20 minutes in the same spot just because girls came. And the girls usually felt awkward about it as well. What's wrong with equality? Whoever gets to line first gets served first. Regardless of gender. The pedophile assumptions are the ducking worst. I had a pretty terrible one at a 4th of July festival in 2013. I was 24 and had this huge, curly mustache, like 18 inches from end to end. I'm holding my 2-year-old goddaughter in my arms and walk up to the petting zoo so that she can see the goats, sheep, etc. This woman at the petting zoo looks at me and immediately points at me and yells "stranger danger" while running off with her kids. 2 in a stroller. 1 in hand. Everyone stared at me like I was a pedophile. Felt like I had to bail. So I did. And my goddaughter didn't get to pet a single farm animal. This woman at the petting zoo looks at me and immediately points at me and yells "stranger danger." That's just weird. Well, here goes. I guess. I lived across the street from a now ex-friend. We'll call her Laura. Who had a new daughter that we'll call Penny. A year and some change old. Slightly relevant that the father was not in the picture. Now, I'm usually not a kid person. Any of them below 8th grade or so are like kryptonite to me. For whatever reason. I love this kid. She had a smile that melted my heart and made whatever paternal instincts I have kick in. Full bore would lay down my life to make sure this little rugrat was okay. Always watched Penny when Laura had to work or go to class, since I was a bartender at the time and had most of the day off. My then GF was always home as well. So it was fun to Google at the whole baby idea. We'd go to the park. Take nice strolls around the neighborhood. Then, one day, my then GF left the house to go run some random task, and it was just myself hanging out with Penny. Laura got home early and came to pick her up. Put her hair into the customary time to go forehead ponytail thing because it's funny. Damn you, and handed her over when her ma got to the door and had a how did the day go chit chat. Eventually, Laura asked where GF was and went silent when I told her she was out and about. Snatched up all the baby gear without a word and practically booked it across the street. Very long story I'll condense from here on out. We didn't get to watch Penny anymore, which broke my heart. And our interaction with Laura stopped, which was fine. Because I'm a stubborn bastard and will play the cold shoulder game until the day I die. A couple months later, it came about that Laura was fine with both the GF and I watching Penny. But not me by myself because I'm sure you saw it coming. I'm a guy and inherently a pedophile and would abuse her child the first moment I could get. Yeah, I still miss the little budger. That is some pretty hit house treatment. Sorry you had to go through that. I agree, I'll always wonder how she, Penny, is doing. Getting accused of being a sexual predator for holding my 4-year-old grandson's hand. Should have told them he was leading you to his pedal van full of candy. Now I'm imagining a 4-year-old kid raping 70-year-old men by luring them to his van with Werther's original. Worked with a girl who used to purposely rub her body against me when we were in a narrow back corridor and again brushing my ass with her hand when reaching round me for stuff etc. Always was changing when I finished my shift in the back corridor where the lockers were. No need to change there. No one else did. Told the assistant manager, more for advice than anything, and she just laughed her ass off about it. If you told her to stop and she didn't, then that is 100% unacceptable. Duck her. I think that's the opposite of what he was trying to do. I know that I'm far from alone in this, but I've gotten it at public places. I'm an involved dad. When my oldest daughter was young, I would take her to ballet class. While we waited for her class, I'd grab a storybook. She'd sit in my lap, and I would read. I'm an expressive reader. Kids love it. And I would invariably have multiple little girls hanging around me, trying to get up into my lap so they could see, and I would just cringe from the looks around the room. Even when I was actively discouraging it. Honey, I'm not your dad. I don't think your mom wants you to sit with me. Eventually, the moms got to know me and decided I was okay. But it was not comfortable for a while. At the park, I push my kids on the swings. I chase them around, etc. Other kids tend to want to join in. I have to be super careful, else I'll get everything from the stink eye to rude comments. And of course, the condescending comments are the best. No, lady, I'm not a weekend dad. I'm not giving their poor mother a break. I'm her here the 24th of July 365. I spend time with my kids every day. I look forward to sharing moments. Bite me. My husband has built up a Nerf arsenal and likes to play with our son outside when it's nice. Mostly the parents know it's fine, but occasionally a neighborhood kid we don't know well will join, and his parents will flip the duck out. I have to be on standby to explain that we live in this complex and my husband isn't a pedo. Never had a little girl join in. I once had to calm a mother literally screaming at him in front of 10 kids about how he needs to stay away from the children and he's a creep because he hugged a little girl who was actually a long-haired boy and our son. I hope that lady apologized. That would put me in a sad mood for the rest of the day. When I was 17, I worked at Taco Bell and a customer fell asleep at the drive-thru speaker. I was the only guy on a staff of teenage/middle-aged women who all started arguing about who had to go check on him until the one I got along with the least chirped out, "Make that duckin' loser do it. He's a guy." I started arguing with her as I was elbow deep in dirty dishes that needed to get clean, and she said, "You're a guy. Asshole. We are women. He might have a gun. Like somehow having a wiener makes me bulletproof. Your username makes this that much better." My ex used to punch me. A lot. Never in the face, but pretty much everywhere else. When I asked her to stop, she would hit me harder, just because she knew I wouldn't/couldn't do anything about it. She'd even tease me about not fighting back. She would really lay into it too, when she did it in public. People, friends included, would just assume that I deserved it. I learned to accidentally move so that her knuckles would hit bone and she'd hurt her own hand while punching me. Yes. This was my first relationship and a long high school/college disaster. I was too young and stupid to just leave. Had a girlfriend do this to me, so I started intercepting her knuckles with mine, and she cut that hit out real fast. Yeah. It's amazing how much punching someone's hand as they're trying to punch you will stop them in their tracks. I took my dog to an agility class once. I was the only male there and younger, by 20+ years, than most of the women there. The woman running the class singled me out many times, saying that I was inherently worse at training my dog because males lack patience. She also criticized me throughout the class because my command voice sounded angry and I was only allowed to offer praise to my dog. She said men often don't get this concept. I decided my dog didn't like agility training. We just play frisbee instead. You sound angry. Are you typing this in your command voice? Run as administrator. ipconfig/all. Once had an ex bite me super hard and wouldn't let go because she was mad. I had never been in so much pain in my entire life. I couldn't get her off of me, so I resorted to punching her so she would let go. Next day, she had a black eye. And yeah, you guessed it. She took about 80 selfies and posted them all social media saying I abuse her. I lost track of how many threats I received as it was all over Instagram/Facebook. Luckily, my close friends believed me since they knew she was a crazy itch. I still have the bite scar on my neck to this day. This wasn't the first time she abused me. It just happened to be the last. Edit. Thanks for all the replies. I pretty much just deleted all my social media after this so avoid further threats and words thrown at me. There wasn't much I can do to stop the train. So I just avoided social events for a while. It really did suck though. Should have replied to the threats with the bite marks on your neck. It's quite impossible to bite yourself on the neck. Especially not hard enough to scar. But she only bit you that hard because you were abusing her and she felt cornered. People will find any excuse to ducking twist the story, so the girl is the victim. My family adopted two high-risk girls aged 11 and 12 when I was 17 and so many people thought it was a bad idea because I was 100% going to ape them. My older/larger female cousin could hit and punch me all she wanted, but when I did it, I was a monster and punished. 7th grade English teacher would let girls out of class before guys because guys were rude and girls should get to go to lunch first. I worked at a coffee shop where I was the only guy for a while, and taking out the trash and lifting the heavy stuff was just my job because I was best suited for it. It got so bad that I eventually said, well, I'm not doing the dishes or cleaning the bathroom because you guys are more suited for that job. Edit update. I'm okay with people doing the right job for them, and honestly I like taking out the trash, but when I wasn't working the trash still got taken out, which means they were capable of doing it, or worse they would leave all the trash from the night before, so I can take it. My main issue with everything was I had to do more work than anyone else, because I was a guy, and for no other reason. The good news is, when I told them off about it they understood, and I never had to clean the bathrooms again, which is by far my least favorite thing in the world. I always hated going ahead of the guys. What's worse is the guys just accepted it and I'm like, nothing about my gender should mean that I should be served first. Guys are hungry too. For God's sake. Just divide by age or something. What's worse is the guys just accepted it. We have to accept it, or everyone's gonna start hit with you. I take dance at school because I'd like to be a performer when I grow up. It's pretty off-putting when the teachers tell you to just go to the weight room or just use you as a tool for lifts. Are you interested in ballet? They are in massive need of male performers and apparently are willing to take less experience. Yeah, but ballet will physically duck you up. While the performances can be beautiful, what those poor performers do to themselves just make it not worth it, emo. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.